Kuma from Ikara and Mboka A Nzambe in Gabon, here to align some of our ethos according to its flux in this point in time. So really, as we can see, Ikara has an identity revolving in and around Iboga and its applications. So essentially, being in the Western material world, in some shape, way, or form, we utilize the rhetoric and the tools to get our word out there, meaning we are an Ikara Iboga center, for instance, or we're selling Iboga or something. But what we'd like to impart is something far deeper for everyone. This is just some identity that we can access the people that are being called. This is not the identity of Ikara or Mboka A Nzambe. The ethos is, starting on the material side, the entity is an NGO from the feeding community of which we're members and a part. But that NGO is a family environment of pure forms of Bwete, which severely lacking within Gabon, even now. We already know the Western situation. So this form is a family environment, and inside this, for the forms to remain pure according to the systems, Bwete must remain protective of what it is. Not in terms of being closed, not at all, but in terms of protecting its pure environment to ensure that people earn a true spirituality of understanding God's resonance inside you, that is what you are. These systems are very involved, and they're there to ensure that people develop compassion and brotherhood of man. So I'm explaining these things because you come as an outlet, like you said, and you're interested in Iboga. But by coming to Ikara and Mboka A Nzambe, this doesn't resemble an Iboga retreat. So the processes I use, according to my teacher, His Majesty King Adumangana, is according to the true Desumba and Miobe teaching of the Babongo First Nations people of Gabon. It's a very, very difficult thing to even find or access. And the ancient science, this is why we are behind it, to preserve that culture. It is what spawned all forms of Bwete in their relative bastardized branches today. It's where it comes from. It's where the teachings originate. And inside those ancient teachings, as we'll all agree, are beautiful understandings of the operation of God within self. This is known by His Majesty Adumangana, his teachers before him, Soko, the villagers in Dubois, the holders of these knowledge, these angelic spiritual forces which we work with as a Mihobibanga, and the pharmacopeia of the plants. So I outline this today because we are, as an outlet, the representatives as family. So my father is King Adumangana. I do not have a father that is spiritual at all. He is my spiritual father. He's responsible for me. So I impart this, and I make that a point because I'm saying that you come somewhere that is a system of protection in terms of looking after best interests by following the one knowledge that's developed, by crafting and sculpting one's psychology under the pure training methods with Iboga, and learning in a system like this, which I shouldn't say is a system, more protocol, universal parameters, let's just say, objective reality of which we are in the West lacking. Everything seems to be our individual subjective experience so we can protect ourselves from wrong or right. We're caught in polarity. This is to dissolve polarity and bring truth. So when you come to Ikara, initially on the page, okay, I'm going to have Iboga, but you are instantly contributing to this process of preservation. Indigenous rights, Indigenous protection, sustainability, many practices that we promote and advocate and work in as missionaries, because at Mboka A Nzambe we're missionaries. So our brothers and sisters move around and move between the territories, the Babongo territories and their village, and bring the Babongos back to the village to experience their initiatic rites, to be purified, to be clean, to go through our sanctuary process, and then move on. So for the people looking, you will be contributing to these processes and the preservation of truth, and whilst doing that, receive from your pure intent and will, receive the true spiritual enlightenment to align yourself with the center of the earth today, the intersection of the equator and the meridian line, the male-female, and these metaphors, the spiritual heartland. Align yourself geographically and according to the cosmos and the universe, and then align the body, soul, and mind with this geographical intersection through the spirit of God's flesh, which is Iboga. Iboga was never to be disassociated in its usage from its original intent. Its original intent was to be used as a connection of electrical spiritual force to sculpt one's psychology, body, and mind into the perfect organism to live in harmony with the forest and the universe. No other form is Bwete. It is a form of abstraction of Bwete. And this can be tracked and comparatively assessed from anthropologically from other disciplines and periods of time. Episteme. So these other forms of Bwete, what I'm saying with that, have occurred with colonial interaction and the Western mind. So therefore you have fetishism and superstition and other elements introduced. That's natural. That's what happens with merging. But from this aspect, there isn't any of that. It's unadulterated. So it lives in the light. And it makes one see that they are what they're thinking. By sculpting with Iboga, we learn ourselves in our daily routine and activity. Living in a Bwete community such as Mboka A Nzambe is not like wanting to be initiated and I need to have an agenda for myself, so I go without purity and then just get what I want and leave and sell Iboga. I'm trying to make sure we educate people in the West where we're coming from. This is not an operation upon which you come with impurity and an agenda. We're extending our offering of education for people looking to spiritually clean themselves, to be given the gift of the purification protocol of which we utilize. We're offering this process of hospitalization through Le Don Vie Hospital within Mboka A Nzambe, which involves amazing purification processes to prepare one to go through a sanctuary process, which is a rebirthing and a realigning with the aspects I mentioned earlier. The essential unification in the cross, in the Bwete culture, and the symbol which is derived, the crucifix derives from, is indicative of the intersection I'm talking about. It's the male-female union, the living and the dead. At the center, there's an angelic force, which we're not often aware of. At each pole, there's angelic force. The point is, when you come here, you are contributing directly in spiritual reciprocity with the original teachings and people. You take on that reciprocity, which is giving to give again. This is not a money operation. So for anyone coming with pure heart and really wanting to clean themselves, I would encourage them to call us, because we are offering this amazing opportunity for one to discover their true self, for this ancient knowledge, which is true Iboga. There's an option, a loving option. where we can learn that we are what we see. And when we know we are what we see, we develop compassion. I've said this before, and when you do, you develop true intelligence to see what is, not try and escape, repress, or move away from what is. So when someone comes towards Mboka A Nzambe and has an agenda to be initiated or want to develop something, that's easily seen and shows up with God's people. We're not looking for someone to do that. That's moving away from what is. We're looking you to move towards what is. You wanting something. Let's look at that. What do you want and why do you want it? Is how to learn what Iboga is teaching. For many, and we can see this in the West, will eat Iboga for 10, 11, 15 years, and clear as day, to a true spiritualist, still don't understand it. Because they haven't been taught or given it through this method, which we're offering. It's time, according to His Majesty's vision, which has been in process beyond lifetimes, according to His peers and His spiritual father. I'm following in this lineage. I have been initiated in Babongo territory in his lineage. So I'm here on the video and a representative in the West to follow his lead and offer what it is that he's been seeking to offer within the West at some point. But it's been a tricky balance because the Western mind wants things. It's in avoidance. It wants to become a burger provider or a medicine provider or something, to sell a burger to have an income and to feel better about themselves and fix themselves. It's true. I know, personally. But that's not what preserves Bwete. You can see what's happening today. The saturation and a proliferation of one type of behavior that will potentially deconstruct and destroy what we're trying to achieve. We want people to discover that they are God in the deepest sense, and that's what every single individual wants, whether they see it or not. In fact, when they say they don't, they want it more. So, Ikara is here, Mboka A Nzambe is here, to introduce the Western mind to the accurate perspectives of Iboga, to experience a different delivery completely, spiritually now, and even physically, and then have the opportunity to ask questions and develop and perhaps graft a want or an understanding to go further and to experience the process at Mboka A Nzambe of the sanctuary. The sanctuary involves 2 weeks of cleaning and an important rebirthing ceremony which aligns someone again with themselves. I know this, I've been through the process some time ago. So please, I hope this made some sense for people. I want people to know that we're approachable. I've said this before, but we're also aware of agenda. We have to be. I'm protecting my family. It's not secular. What it is we're preserving the culture for our Babongo brothers and sisters. I am a bridge. My kumbo is this. My name, Kuma, means in Babongo the one that sheds light in connection. This is about me standing and knowing the psychology. I've been engendered and given this role from His Majesty, which I must follow because I have some understanding of the psychology on the Western side, and I understand their psychology. Spiritually, I'm aligned that way. I discovered that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Changes happen quickly when we meet catalytic intersections, catalysts. Word of God can appear in anyone at any moment. That's the teaching and joy of Bwete. So please, we'd be more than honoured for people coming of pure heart to learn more about how they can align themselves. So the only agenda they need is they want to know who they are. That's what we want. If you want to know who you are, everything comes from there. But you're already 2 or 3 steps down the road wanting to become this and do this and have these goals and things. That's not what we need to hear. That's your problem, in fact. We need you to come back to who you are. And that's what it truly is. A complete returning and rebirthing and reorientation when you leave Mboka A Nzambe with your new environment at home. I know personally. I've been through this. So please, everybody out there, consider our mission, our ethos. We can offer so much more information about our activities at Mboka A Nzambe and what we do. As missionaries, obviously we act as an orphanage. There are many children that need to be taken care of. And all of our money here through the Iboga practice and introduction is a pre-introduction really before this process I've mentioned, is returned back to feed my village, my brothers and sisters, their children, and the territories in Babongo. We're just in the process of sending more money now. So we thank goodness this to us returns in deep spiritual ways. So peace, love and grace to all, and I'll welcome all calls.